All right, what's up, guys? So, I know I'm starting a few minutes early, but first of all, I want to say before we start the demonstration with our Rubio Monocoat, you see it? I wanted to let you guys know about the winner of the Cheapskate Challenge, and the winner is number 5, Russ. The guy that had the bullets in the epoxy side table. He's the winner. He decided to go with a Good View Woodworks t-shirt, which is really cool. And he also asked if we would be doing more of these. And yes, we will be doing more of the giveaways and the contests, you know. But thanks for everybody who entered. My personal favorite was I really liked the checkerboard. That was awesome because it was innovative, and it looks like she used actually 2x4s for the form and everything. So great job. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the entries. Everything was really cool. The sign, the sculpture, the bench with the mountain in the top, that was super cool. All of them are really cool. Russ and his bullet table, and the checkerboard, they're all really, really good. So I want to thank everyone for entering, and we'll be doing that again. So if you see me kind of going back and forth, I have my phone live, but I can't see it from, I don't have good eyesight, so I can't see the comments. So I'll be back and forth with my desktop to answer any kind of comments. Is that okay with you guys? If you can hear me, if everything's good, give me a thumbs up, okay? Hey, Chad Hinwood. Hey, Mark from Indiana. Russ, what's up? Chad says, hey, DK. James Taylor, what's up, Nathan? William Wagman says, once again, I think for being good sports and all that. Real quick, before we get started, I want to give everybody an update. We are no longer in the adoption process, and that's because yesterday, everything is finally legal. So our baby girl is 100% ours, and man, it is a great feeling not to be in that stage where you're unsure. So we are so thankful for the Lord and how He blessed us with that sweet little baby girl. So it's super cool, super awesome. I had a really good email this morning when I woke up. That was the first thing I read this morning, so it's pretty awesome. All right, so enough about me. And let's get on to finishing this with our Rubio Monocoat. So if you guys see, we have 3 cans here. And usually when you buy the Rubio Monocoat, it'll be stacked together like this, and it looks like one tall can. But actually you have the, this is like the hardener, the activator, and you also have the oil right here. This here is their cleaner, their Rubio Monocoat cleaner. And this is, you're supposed to clean the raw wood with this first. It smells like mineral spirits to me, acts like mineral spirits, so I'm just gonna go ahead and assume this is mineral spirits. And mineral spirits is a little bit cheaper than this. If you wanna go with this is a really good product. I'm just not convinced that it's anything different than mineral spirits, okay? And mineral spirits work just as fine when using the oil, so I'm gonna use that. But since we already have some, we're gonna go ahead and use it, okay? I just realized I don't have a paper towel. I'll be right back. Say what? No, I just need a couple of them, please. I have to grab them away in here. Thank you. All right, sorry about that, man. I left. Had some paper towels right there, and I left them. What we're going to do is we're going to use the cleaner to clean off any of the dust, because with Rubio Monocoat, it requires you. So Rubio Monocoat only bonds with wood fibers. So if you have dust on the surface, it's going to want to bind with that, and we definitely don't want that. Also, one more thing too. You can use the oil without the activator. It's just that the oil takes 3 weeks to fully cure, whereas it takes about 7 days with the activator. So much shorter time. But I think I made a mistake and I didn't have it fully closed. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's like bubbled up. I think it's all dried out. Let me double check and see. Yeah. So we won't be using the activator on this one, but if you do, it's a 3-to-1 mixture. It's 3 parts oil, 1 part hardener. And so we're not going to use that. We're just going to use the oil. But the good thing is it's so small. You're like, man, this is like $45 for this little can, but you're going to be surprised at how little I use on here, okay? So we'll go ahead and clean it off first. Before you actually do this, we need to do what they call water popping. It's just raising the grain. If you guys are woodworkers, raising the grain, all you do is spray water on the top and saturate the surface. And at that point, when it dries, the grain pops back up and you want to sand it down. Now, Rubio Monocoat only requires you to sand to 150, but I have had success sanding to 220 just to get a little bit more sheen. They say 150, you can do 180. I've done up to 120 and it seems to be okay. So we sanded this right here to 150, or 120, excuse me. And so we'll go ahead and wipe this down and we'll get to putting the oil on there. I'm going to answer some more questions really quick. Everybody says congratulations. Claude says, God is so good. That's amazing news. Thank you. Thank you. William Wyman says, heck yeah, woo woo. And Renee Porter, hey mom. So she says, my heart is so happy. And DK says, rightfully so. Congrats, Renee. Chad says, do you use isopropyl alcohol before and after using a torch to get rid of bubbles? And I use isopropyl alcohol to clean things. I don't use it to get rid of bubbles. Troy says, hey Nathan, first time live. Well, that's awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and get some of this cleaner put on here. Our goal is just to get the dust off. All right, we're gonna let that dry off. Look at how pretty that black walnut is. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so we don't need any more of that. We want to make sure our surface is dry before we put in the oil on. So go ahead and open this can up and then I'll start mixing the oil up just to make sure it's nice and mixed. Now this Rubio Monocoat has a really nice smell to it. It's very weird smelling, but it kind of has a cool smell too at the same time. So if you guys see what it looks like. I don't know if you can see, it's yellow. You'll see it when I put it down on the board. Oh, Chad says, I was meaning when you use it to do cool designs with the resin. Um, so yeah, you can use isopropyl alcohol before, yeah, you can use it before or after using the torch. But I would just, if you're going to use a torch, make sure that the isopropyl alcohol has been sitting for a little bit and has had time to evaporate, because if you torch it with it, it'll go and catch fire. William Wagner says, side note, I found that if you have any extra slabs of granite tabletop, it makes an excellent base for any form you make. Epoxy just pops off and easy to clean. Hey William, that's a great tip. I like when you guys are innovators like that, because obviously I don't know everything, and it's really cool when you guys have stuff like that. That's a really cool tip about the granite top. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some Rubio on this thing. It looks like it's pretty dry. So I'm going to show you how little it's going to take. Not very much at all. There we go. That's it. Now we're going to take our Bondo spreader. You can also use a credit card, like an old credit card or something like that, to spread it on. I like to use the Bondo spreader. Works really well. So all we're going to do is we're going to work this back and forth across the surface and get a nice even coat. Now, if I was doing a large table, what I would actually do is I would take a white non-abrasive Scotch-Brite, and I would use a Scotch-Brite to really work this oil into the surface. But you see how much I have left over too. There's still quite a bit on the surface. Now, this Rubio Monocoat, it's only gonna go into the wood as much as it can. But I will say, when using black walnut, they say it requires 2 coats, even though it's monocoat. But for some reason, just on that one wood species, they ask for 2 coats. They say to do 2 coats. I'm not exactly sure why. So we're going to continue working this in. You want to work it in and then let it sit for a few minutes, about 10, and then we'll work it into the surface. We'll pretty much rub the excess out of the surface there, because it'll only absorb as much as it can. Okay, we're going to go ahead and let that sit. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to go answer them right now. William says, any idea with the shelf life of that stuff by chance? So yeah, we can totally get a zoom in. No, I don't actually know the shelf life. I think most places say it's about a year after it's opened. And so that's what I would go by. John Hansard says, congratulations, you must feel so blessed. I am. Jennifer says, hey Nathan, good viewers, happy Tuesday. And Second Star of the Right says, you're going to call that an ice block. Yeah, it does kind of look like an ice block. Here you go. I'll give you guys a zoom in. Here we go. Super pretty walnut. See if I can get the light on it a little bit more. But anyway, it's very, very pretty. Let's see here. Let's see if I can. Whoa! Okay, sorry about that, guys. Can you see it now? As soon as I picked it up, my tripod leg fell off. So crazy. All right, let's sit you back up here. All right. Okay. DK says pearlescent white almost looks like a pine cone. Yeah, it does kind of look like a pine cone. Okay, so we're going to take our towel here. Now, this is not the best thing to use. You don't want to use a paper towel. You want to use like a lint-free rag. But I'm going to take and I'm going to dip just a little bit into this oil. And I'm really going to work it in here because I wanted to get a really good coverage. Can't forget the sides. And guys, it's really that easy. That's it. That's all it takes to apply Rubio Monocoat finish. Now, also your rags, you want to leave them out in the open to set up and dry because you definitely don't want it to spontaneously combust. Now, the Rubio Monocoat is a hard wax oil, and so it's going to take 7 days. 3 weeks for this to set up. If you had the accelerator, obviously it would go longer than that. I mean, shorter than that, 7 days or so. But that's why I like Rubio so much. Is it's a nice water-resistant finish too. So if I put a glass on there, water would beat up, and it wouldn't leave. It's not going to leave water rings or anything like that. Now, if you want it, see how it's nice and satin. If you want it different, like a little bit more shiny, not gloss or semi-gloss or anything, but a little bit more shiny. They have this stuff called their maintenance oil, and once this sets up, the very next day, so once you apply it, the very next day you'd add the maintenance oil and give it a little bit more sheen. And that's what I do. I don't have any maintenance oil with me right now, plus it would have to wait for the next day, but that is the very next step, and it's going to look really nice like this. So this is going to look super nice. This is going to be a little small side table next to our bed in the guest bedroom, so you can sit a glass or a book or something up here. Be a floating style table. But this is why I like Rubio so much. It seems expensive, but the can is so small. But did you see? I used just a little bit, and this can right here, I've done an entire dining room table with this, and I still have about this much left, a little bit less than half in there. So really a little bit goes a long way. So in actuality, you actually save money using this. Plus, it's super easy to work with as well. Cindy says you're going to light the epoxy part. And William says too many LaCroix, LOL. Troy says, kind of off topic, when doing a flood coat, what do you do with any drips that form overnight? I sanded them down and sanded through the seal coat on the bottom, but I think might leave it be. Troy, that's a great question. If you take this for example, what I would do is if you've already seal coated the bottom and you don't want drips to form, put a piece of tape under the bottom, and once it pulls over but starts to set up where it's not going to drip anymore but it's still wet, peel the tape off. It'll leave a clean edge and then it'll finish setting up after that. So depending on what stuff you use, it could take a few hours before it sets up fully. Great question. There you go. William Wagon says, use tape on the bottom, let it drip, and peel tape off. See? He's on it tonight. Thanks, Will. James Harris says, looks great. Tom Smith says, love it. And Tom says, Tom Smith, is he still alive? Yes, I'm still alive. Claude says he cannot see comments from his phone. He has to step away and look at his desktop to the right of him. Yep, I'm still here. I'm right here. And so William says, I've seen others use Rubio and use a buffer. Exactly. William's right. So William is right. What happens is you really want to use the non-abrasive white Scotch-Brite pad and use a buffer to really work it into it. But you shouldn't do more than what you can do in a 10-minute period. So you don't want to do the whole table if you can't really work it in 10 minutes, okay? So because we don't want anything to pool on the top. Then after you buff it in, you then let it sit and go over it with a rag and really wipe up all the excess. And do that one more time. So it's literally a lot of wiping on, spreading around and wiping off. That's really all there is to it. Second Star of the Right says, you should cut a hole in it to hold a glass of water. That would be cool. Tom Smith says, where do you find it? So Tom, you can find Rubio Monocoat on Amazon, and you can also find it in, like I got this at my local woodcraft store. So they might have it at your local woodcraft or Rockler or wherever you have, whatever you have that's close to you. So Cindy says, do you ever do classes in the north? Cindy, at the moment, what I'm doing now is I have a class in Richmond, and we're working on getting a class in Virginia Beach. So sorry, that's as far north as I go as Richmond, excuse me. But I will start having classes in Virginia Beach as well. Great question. Joseph says, I just tuned in. Can that be used on epoxy along with wood, such as a river table? Yes. So this is epoxy and wood together, and it works well. The oil doesn't really bind with the epoxy, but if it does harden if you use the accelerator, it'll make it a little bit harder, and it will stick to it eventually, like once it dries. William says you can also buy it direct from them. That's where I got mine. Yes, you can. Second Star Right says your channel and online community is so awesome. Second Star Right, I really appreciate that. Tom Smith says class in Roanoke. I'll bring the lightning water. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Richard says Mentor or Tippy, Yahoo. Dang fat fingers. DK says, I'll travel if time is right from Massachusetts. Yeah, guys. What you can do is go to Woodcraft of Richmond. So you can type that in Google, Woodcraft of Richmond, and they have all the class schedules and things on there. You can search for Goodview Woodworks or search for my name, Nathan Porter, in the classes. So you have to go to where they have the classes, click it, and you'll see my name down there. It'll give you a schedule when the next one's available. So guys, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. We're going to go ahead and close up this evening. I thank you guys for coming out. I do see another question that just popped up. Let me get to it real quick before we go. Renee Porter says, support this channel by going to the Amazon link and ordering products you like. So yes, if you go to any of my videos, obviously not the live streams, but any other videos, I have an Amazon link there. If you click and order stuff through the Amazon link, I get a small commission from that. So I really appreciate that. Jamie McCord says, how's those cut off from coasters from last demo coming along? So my plan was to have those ready for this evening to do a flood coat so you guys can see it, but it'll have to push until next Tuesday when I have time to cut them up. They did great. They came out of the form nicely. I want to point out, don't use CA glue like I did on a silicone form, because when you pull it off, it will break the silicone form. I didn't think it would stick. I thought it would stick a little bit, but not a lot, and it ruined the little silicone dish that I had. So don't do that. Secondly, I need new planer blades, so once I pop those in there, I'll be able to finish planing that little piece, and then it'll be ready to flood coat. So you guys will be able to see a flood coat live, and we'll do that next Tuesday. How does that sound? All right, guys, with that being said, I really appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. It's always a blast. I really enjoy it every time. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us. Have a good evening.